Let's make my double shuffle quilt pattern using charm packs, which are 5-inch squares, and background yardage in 2.5-inch strips. For this pattern, you will need 4 charm packs, each containing 42 5-inch squares, or you can also use a layer cake instead and cut it down into 5-inch squares. Lastly, you will need 1.5 yards of background, or you can use half of a solid jelly roll, as you will only need 20 2.5-inch strips. The size we are making will end up in an oversized throw, yielding you a 63-inch by 71.5-inch quilt. So let's get started. If you are using background yardage, you will first subcut them into 20 2.5-inch strips by width of fabric. Then you'll take those 20 2.5-inch strips and cut them into 4 2.5-inch by 9.5-inch rectangles per each strip. You will need a total of 77 2.5-inch by 9.5-inch rectangles. Lastly, you will need a total of 154 5-inch squares. Once everything is cut, you will select 2 5-inch squares in mixed prints. You'll place them side by side and sew them together with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, creating a 5-inch by 9.5-inch rectangle. Lastly, you will take a 2.5-inch by 9.5-inch rectangle and place it on the bottom like so, and then you'll sew it together with your scrappy squares, leaving you with a 7-inch by 9.5-inch rectangle. All you'll have to do is repeat this step until you made a total of 77 quilt blocks. And now that all of your blocks are finished, it is time to lay your quilt out. And for every odd column, you will lay your block with a solid strip on the bottom. Then for your even columns, you will lay your block with a solid strip on the top within a 7 by 11 layout. Then, as always, you will sew your blocks together into rows, and then lastly, sew your rows together to complete your quilt top. And here is what my quilt top looks like all finished. For the backing, I am using a floral print from within the collection in glide threads in the color Mocha. And here's what my quilt looks like all quilted. Double shuffle is perfect for beginners and comes together very quickly. But if you could, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be notified for your next amazing quilt project.